Hi, welcome to Vegan Cuisine with Madame Sophie. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a vegan version of Pemi. Now I know that in different parts of the islands, the Caribbean islands, they call this traditional dish different names. Some islands call it Conkie, some islands call it Pemi or Paime. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to do the vegan version of this dish. So now I'm going to be preparing my pumpkin. I have about a quarter to a half a pound or 3/4 pounds of fresh pumpkin. I'm going to be cutting these up in medium to small size cubes. Another thing about this recipe is this recipe does not have any butter, so I'm not going to be asking you to use any butter for this recipe. And another thing, I know this recipe is traditionally wrapped up in banana leaves. I unfortunately don't have access to banana leaves in my region of the world, so I'm going to be using foil for this dish. In addition to that, I also want to point out that I will not be using fresh coconut for this dish because, again, I do not have access to fresh coconut, but this dish is traditionally prepared with using banana leaves as well as fresh coconut. So as you can see, I am processing my fresh pumpkin in my food processor. I'm trying to get the pumpkin as fine as I can possibly get it, and I am adding in my sweetened coconut flakes. Now this is organic sweetened coconut flakes. You could get this at your grocery store. Usually you'll get it right next to the section where you have the chocolates and stuff like that. I am adding in half a cup of water to the food processor in addition to the coconut, and I'm going back at it again, processing that. Adding another cup. In all, I believe I will be using approximately 4 cups of sweetened coconut flakes, or to be on the safe side, 4.5 cups of sweetened coconut flakes. This recipe is perfect for not only if you're a vegan, but if you're in a part of the world where you cannot get fresh coconut or you cannot get fresh banana leaves, then this recipe would be perfect for you. I'm gonna scoop out some of the mixture in the food processor because my food processor, I think I filled it up too much, but it looks like I'm gonna have to go back and process the other half of the mixture. So I'm leaving half of the mixture in the food processor, I'm letting it do its thing, and then I'm gonna add in the other half and do the same thing. You really want you really want the mixture to get to not really a puree consistency. It's not really going to get to a puree consistency, but you really want the pieces of coconut and the pieces of pumpkin to get to a fine consistency. This is the mixture in my bowl, and to the mixture I am going to add 1.5 cups of water, cold water, not hot water. So I'm adding in 1.5 cups of water. In addition to that, I'm also going to add in 1 cup of brown sugar. You could use white sugar if you would like, but I prefer using brown sugar. If you use brown sugar, it's definitely going to change the color of the end product. You're going to have more of a brownish yellow color as opposed to having a bright yellow color. So just wanted to point that out. I'm also going to add in some spices. I believe I'm adding in some cinnamon as well as some nutmeg. I am also going to add in some vanilla extract or vanilla essence to the mixture. So I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. It looks like I'm adding in more than 1 tablespoon, but 3 teaspoons make 1 tablespoon. So I just added that to the mixture. I am also adding in about a half to a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg. Nutmeg is a very powerful spice. You don't want that spice to overpower the taste of your end product, so you really want to be mindful of how much nutmeg you're putting in there. And again, too much nutmeg actually turns into an opium, so you want to be very careful when you're using nutmeg when cooking. I am adding in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and as you can see, I am mixing up that pumpkin and coconut mixture. You want to mix it thoroughly. Make sure that everything is well mixed. And another thing is, you don't want to add too much sugar to this mixture, because remember there is sugar in the coconut flakes already, so you want to be very mindful of that. You want to do a taste test as well. I am going to start off with 2 cups of cornmeal. Now there are different grains of cornmeal. You have fine grain, you have medium meal, fine meal cornmeal. So you want to be very mindful that if you try this recipe and it does not come out the same way as mine, probably the type of cornmeal, if it's a fine grain or medium grain or coarse grain, that is going to affect your end product. So I'm using the cornmeal from the Quaker brand. I added 2 cups to the mixture and I am going to mix that up. Again, this is the cornmeal I'm using for today. I believe I would say the Quaker cornmeal brand is, I would describe their cornmeal to have a fine grain. It's basically fine cornmeal. I'd say it's fine cornmeal. So if you use cornmeal that is not so fine, it is going to affect your the way your end product comes out. So to my mixture, I am adding in another half cup of water, cold water, and I'm going to mix that up as well. Another great thing about this recipe is it is gluten-free and it is low in fats. I believe the only source of fat you're basically getting from this recipe is mainly from your coconut, because coconut is high in one of those things that are high in saturated fats. I'm adding another 1 cup of my cornmeal to the mix. You really want to do a consistency check. This is basically what you really want to look out for. This is kind of the consistency check. You don't want a porous mixture. You want it to have some firmness but not too firm. I would say you want a mixture that is in the realm of a medium firm consistency, kind of like sand. Like coarse grain sand that is not very porous. So now I'm going to wrap up my Pemi mixture. I am using parchment paper with foil. I am very conscious about foil and the food, and the whole fact that this mixture is going to be steamed in water. I'm very mindful of that. So you could skip the parchment paper part and just wrap up your mixture in some foil, but I am going to be using parchment paper in addition to the foil to wrap up my Pemi. This is actually one of my favorite dishes. Growing up, my mom used to make it all the time, especially during Creole Day or during Creole festivities. And I used to love eating this dish. This dish makes a great dessert, by the way. A great dessert and a great snack. It is very addictive. I think it's very addictive, but you don't want to overdo it because, again, you have some saturated fat in the coconut that you're going to be using. When you're adding the mixture, some people, if they want a creamier or more coconut rich flavor to their mixture, some people tend to use coconut milk instead of water. But again, you want to be very mindful of that because coconut is a type of adding coconut milk would definitely increase your adding coconut milk would definitely increase your fat levels in the dish. So you want to be very mindful of that if you would like to use at least half coconut milk instead of using fully water. But using water tastes as good as using coconut milk. So as you can see, I'm wrapping up the mixture, lining up my foil with my parchment paper. In this recipe, you're gonna get about 8 to 15 Paimes, depending on how big you wrap them up and the size. So as you can see, I have my boiling water. And to my boiling water on the stove top, I am adding in my Paime. Again, when you're wrapping up your mixture, you want to make sure that you wrap it up tight enough just so that not too much water gets into the mixture. I'm going to boil a mixture up for about 35 to 45 minutes. And this is what the end product looks like. This is so delicious. This is so delicious. I love having this dish, and I love the fact that I was able to make it a vegan version. This tastes so good. Try it out and definitely tag me in. Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of Vegan Cuisine with Madame Sophie. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you do try out this recipe, don't forget to tag me in. Thank you so much again, and have a great day. Peace, love, and tasty vegan food.